In this video, I'm going to show you the easiest way to play Fortnite on your Mac. That could be a MacBook or iMac or any kind of Mac operating system computer. So Boosteroid is a cloud gaming service, and all you do in Boosteroid, you click play and you're straight in the game. And obviously the first time you do this, you're going to have to log in to your Epic Games account. But it's extremely simple. There's no need to mess around with any of the things you normally do on a computer, like drivers and things like waiting for the game to download and update and updating your drivers, things like that you don't have to worry about with Boosteroid Cloud Gaming. And this is why I think actually Boosteroid is probably better than using a gaming console, because with a gaming console you do have the problems that you're going to have to put the console somewhere. Obviously there's space consideration, there's the power usage of the console, there is the initial cost of the console. So if you have an Xbox already, then even in that case, I still recommend Boosteroid, because you probably would prefer to just play on your PC, get a better experience with Boosteroid, because you don't have to mess around with your controller or anything like that. Mouse and keyboard is obviously preferable, and you probably already own a laptop, and you don't need a high-powered laptop. You can use any kind of laptop, can be a Chromebook even, and as long as it can install Boosteroid, which you probably can, Boosteroid is supported on a very wide range of devices now, then you can probably run Fortnite on it. And you'll see you have a pretty good latency as well with Boosteroid, provided that you're close to the servers, and you can test all of this beforehand. And this is why I think you should just throw away your console, or you should not buy a console in the first place with cloud gaming, because you don't need a console, and you're saving so much money this way, in my opinion. Especially if you're someone who maybe wants to try the service for a while, you don't want to commit to gaming for a long period, and you don't really need a gaming console. If you're not a super hardcore player, then cloud gaming like Boosteroid is fine for you, because you get to have a gaming experience from whenever, like if you play from time to time, not super hardcore, then this is fine. You don't need a console or anything like that. And yeah, so I highly recommend it. I think the whole console idea of having a console and having to have physical hardware in order to play your games, that's being phased out slowly as we speak, as the technology of internet progresses and as we get better and better server infrastructure with Boosteroid, and also because of the fact that basically there's no real point to having a console when a PC can play all the same games. There's so many of the games that are basically cross-compatible. And yeah, so I highly recommend Boosteroid, and make sure you try it out. One thing I do want to say actually is that there's some good news, there's some great news actually, with the Apple MacBook and Mac computers. They're actually going to be doing something with Boosteroid, which is they're going to be giving you an update to the program, which will make it natively Apple Silicon. So that means less battery usage probably, and it means it's not running on Intel, it's not running an Intel version, it's not having to convert using Rosetta, which does have a performance impact sometimes with the battery life, and it can heat up your system more if it's not a native Apple Silicon application. So this new update that is upcoming will make it run natively on Apple Silicon M1 and M2 processors. So obviously that's absolutely fantastic news. And yeah, you can see the quality of the gameplay is absolutely fantastic. I have no real issues at all. And this is the newest Fortnite update. You can see it's the Wildlands update, I think it's called. They've done some pretty interesting things with the map. I can also show you with the Apple Silicon thing. If you want to check that, you just go into Activity Monitor. So you can see Boosteroid is currently, it's an Intel application, and you can see these are Apple applications. They're going to give you the Apple version of this in their coming update, and that's going to be absolutely fantastic. So you can see graphically it looks really nice. One thing I would like to see with Boostroid would be a windowed mode. So you can basically run it alongside other windows on your desktop. That would be great. I think you can do that actually with Safari if you open the Boosteroid in Safari. But having it as in the application would be really cool as well. Boosteroid recently got some new games like Age of Empires 3, Age of Empires 2, Age of Empires 4. I think all of them have been added or are being added very soon, very shortly. It's great if you're a strategy fan. The library on Boosteroid is constantly growing, especially with the new Microsoft partnership. You're going to have a massive library of games that you'll be able to play on Boosteroid. And you see my latency is really great, 3 milliseconds. So it feels very, very responsive. I'm not actually finding any other players. Oh, there's a guy. So it's really great seeing Boosteroid just doing these updates. They're still making Boosteroid the best application, making it absolutely a viable alternative to local. I think it already is very viable as an alternative, especially to console. It gives you a comparable or better experience than an Xbox or a PlayStation. You don't really need to have a console nowadays. You'll save so much money. And if you're a parent watching this and you're wondering, I don't want to really spend much on a console, then look into cloud gaming, look into services like Boosteroid, because you can end up saving so much money as well. And I think this is the easiest way to get Fortnite running on your Apple Silicon hardware or just any Mac, because Fortnite does not have Mac support anymore. You can play a version of it, but it's very, very old and it's not very nice to run because it has some issues, like sometimes it crashes when you try and leave the game. I'm very excited for Starfield to come, which I imagine will probably come to Boosteroid with the Microsoft acquisition. It should be coming actually, I believe. That would be... So we did learn Game Pass should be integrated. So if you do have a Game Pass subscription, I think you'll be able to use that with Boosteroid. And now is probably the best time to buy a lot of Game Pass as well, because they're increasing the price of Game Pass. Xbox price is also going up as well, so it's not a great time to buy a console right now because the prices are so high. Normally you expect console prices to drop over time, but that's not been the case with this generation. With this generation, we've seen a scarcity of the consoles because of the fact that there's been a chip shortage and there's been so much demand from COVID, lots of people working from home, and lots of people want something to have as entertainment, and I think cloud gaming is just the best experience for someone who isn't necessarily a hardcore gamer, but they want to get into gaming from time to time. This is the best way with Boosteroid. definitely think Boosteroid is better than Xbox Cloud Gaming. If you're wondering whether you should get Xbox Cloud Gaming or Boosteroid, I personally prefer Boosteroid by a lot because it supports mouse and keyboard, and Xbox does not. At least at the time I'm making this video, Xbox Cloud Gaming doesn't really support mouse and keyboard, and that's quite an important consideration. I think you can also connect your controller to Boosteroid. I haven't tried it personally, but I'm sure it probably would work. And Boosteroid just looks better in general as well, graphically speaking. With Boosteroid you get a much bigger library of games than you do with other cloud gaming services. You get most of the AAA titles. Recently they added Street Fighter 6, they added Diablo 4. These are very highly rated games. So that's another reason I would recommend Boosteroid instead of a gaming console. Because the thing with game consoles is that you do have some games that tend to be exclusive, so you can't actually play them. But even the exclusive titles eventually come to PC. For example, Spider-Man has come to PC, and Final Fantasy 16 I imagine will eventually come to PC. So that's the benefit of another benefit of cloud gaming as well, because you're using a PC basically, so you don't have that exclusivity problem as much. Mac gaming has had some advancements recently with the game porting toolkit. That's quite a big advancement, but still I think even with that I still vastly prefer to use Boosteroid, because unless you have the very best Apple hardware, like you're using an Apple M1 Max or an M2 Max or an M1 Ultra, you're still going to struggle to run those games like Cyberpunk and Elden Ring are very much going to struggle. So even then you would prefer to use cloud gaming. We're seeing cloud gaming receive a lot of attention from the media now, because it really has come along a long way. It's being taken much more seriously as a contender in the market, because it really does give you the native experience, near native. Probably the biggest barrier to cloud gaming really taking off was the latency. Still an issue to some extent, but we've seen very big improvements on the latency side. And remember, a lot of Microsoft games have recently been added to the service. We've seen Deathloop, Gears 5, Pentamount, I think it's called, Grounded, Age of Empires, And probably soon we will see even more first-party titles like Halo and Forza and Flight Simulator. I think I'm very excited for Flight Simulator for sure. That's going to be great. Because Flight Simulator, even if you have a gaming PC or an Xbox, it takes up so much space on your local drive. It's not something you want to keep installed, really. So cloud gaming really solves that issue of running out of space on your system. And as you probably know, if the Activision Blizzard merger goes ahead, then obviously that will be good as well, because Boosteroid does have a partnership with Microsoft. So we're really seeing Boosteroid being one of the major players in the cloud gaming space now. I definitely think this is better than Amazon Luna as well. Amazon Luna's library is just not big enough to compete, really. And remember, Boostroid is available on TVs. Some TVs, I believe, LG TVs. It's worth looking into if you can get that functionality. So you don't even need a PC or anything. It'll be built right into your TV, which just adds more to the convenience. And that's really the appeal of cloud gaming, is convenience. You don't have to deal with a lot of the issues that PC gaming generally has, like setting things up. I think we will also be seeing lots of interesting things going on in the Discord, which I need to check out. Remember, Boosteroid does have its own Discord server, worth joining that server. Probably have a lot of exciting events and things, chances to win games as well. And right now the Steam sale is going on, remember. So Age of Empires 4 and Age of Empires 3 are both very highly discounted. So right now is the best time to buy those games. Play on Boosteroid if you want to. I highly recommend Age of Empires 3. And it's the definitive edition, and you can play that on Boosteroid. And that's with remastered graphics, so it looks a lot better than it did in 2005, obviously. I think the key benefit of cloud gaming is really the fact that it's device and hardware agnostic, so you don't need any specific kind of hardware to use cloud gaming, and you can switch very easily between one device and another. Even in the same session you can switch, and there's no limit on how long you can play a game with Boosteroid. Unlike some other cloud gaming providers, they do have limits. There is no kind of hard cap on how long you can spend inside of a single session, and there's no waiting times. There's only the initial loading of the game, which you'll have to do on any system. You'll always have to load the game first, just like with console, but it loads pretty fast, so not a big deal. And another benefit of cloud gaming services like this is you don't have to waste time setting up the graphics settings and making sure it's running at a good frame rate, because a lot of the time the games will already be defaulted to a good setting for you to run, so that you don't need to manually configure these things, which gives it more of a console-like experience. I don't know if Fortnite has had specific settings set for Boosteroid, specifically the hardware, but you can see here it's not running with any problems. Very smooth 60 FPS as far as I can see. So yeah, that is Fortnite. Hope you enjoyed the video.